remember last time we were talking about the 4 Ps
Yep.
and the product, people, process, promotions. That was more like strategic overview and things like that. Now, when you're running your day, what a director's got to do, you know what? Can we go live? Watch this, buddy.
Let me ask you a question. Did you come here to listen to money or make it? This is L.A. Williams, the blind master. And Sean V. Bradley and I came here for one reason and one reason only. That's to fill your pockets with money. Now how we gonna do it? By giving you the secrets, techniques, and strategies for you to stop losing and start winning at this game called automotive professional sales.
Hey everybody, this is Sean Bradley, the president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman group. And I got my man, Keric. Keric, can you introduce yourself, like where you're from, what your role is in the dealership?
Absolutely. I am actually from Boise, Idaho, kind of a transplant. I was actually moved over here from the Portland, Oregon area in 2000. Been aligned with the Dennis Dillon Auto Group now for a couple years. I'm currently the internet manager / floor manager of the Dennis Dillon Nissan location.
Okay, so how long have you been in the automotive industry for?
Total of about 8-9 years.
Okay, so and you were the desk manager and the sales manager on the floor before they transitioned you to this position, correct?
I was never the desk manager with Dennis Dillon. I was floor manager before transitioning into internet manager.
But you were a desk manager before in your past.
Yeah, yes, at another automotive job, yes.
Okay, so you are high-level manager, desk manager, many years in the business. You were the floor manager, and then you just transitioned to the internet director. And the thing I want to stress is it wasn't a punishment. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't get demoted to being the internet director, BDC director. You are in it because they needed a high-level sales manager, somebody that's got desking experience to be the leader of the internet department. Is that correct?
I asked for it.
That's awesome. Let's just talk, a quick question before I go into the training side thing for you is that, why do you think that a lot of sales managers feel that, that the internet, being an internet manager, BDC manager is like the bastard manager of the dealership, or it's a demotion? Why is that negative stigma there for a real sales manager, desk manager? It's like, no, I would never be the internet director, BDC director. Why do you think they feel that way?
Because I think they're just holding on to old values and old ways. I mean, if you look at any of the really successful people that you've actually featured on some of your podcasts and shows, Cody Carter, a couple of the other ones, they're absolutely embracing the new technology, the new way that people want to communicate these days.
Yeah, so I would agree. I think that there's a negative perception for whatever reason. A BDC director, internet director is not as important or not as skilled as a sales manager. Now, I want to just let you know and everybody else know, the reality is that, think about this, a sales manager usually has other sales managers in the same dealership, in the same department, and even higher level managers like a GSM or GM. Is that correct?
Correct.
Whereas an internet director is usually the only manager of that department. And, they're on top of that, they have way more leads, 5 times, 8 times, 10 times, 20 more leads than like a showroom manager does. So with that being said, I wanted to just kind of go over this is part 2 of putting first things first, mastering the internet director department, right? Like what you're supposed to do. In the first class we did, Keric, we talked about a lot of Dealer Synergy proprietary system. I don't want to get into that. I want to get into operations. So when you come into work, there's 2 things that you need to be focused on more than anything else. Okay. Do you know what those 2 things are?
2 things when I walk in that I'm most focused on is, obviously immediate communication. If there's been any kind of inbound traffic from existing leads or new leads that were fresh from that night, that's my first and foremost concern, is to be able to get comprehensive communication out to these people.
Listen, I love that. And you're spot on. That is one of the 2 things. It's the engagements. You got to realize I'm going to jump ahead, right? And give you the answer Yes. The hardest part of internet sales, anybody that's been an internet director or BDC director will agree with me in this statement. All right.
Follow up.
If I'm honest, is the hardest part is just making contact with
Yep.
a prospect. Sometimes it takes days, weeks, or months to get connected with the prospect. So again, if you think about it, if it takes you days, weeks, or months to make the initial connection, actually, JD Power NADA has said that on average, it takes 9+ attempts before the first response. So on average, it takes 9+ attempts from the salesperson, the BDC rep, or the dealership before the prospect makes the first response. They reply to the email, they reply to the text, they answer the phone. So this is a rhetorical question. I don't understand why, if we know the answer, the hardest part of internet BDC is getting a hold of somebody. If we know that, then why is it we're not hyper vigilant? We're not hyper focused for every engaged conversation. So I love what you said. What you said was actually perfect, is that when you come in, the number one thing that you want to be able to get situational control over is who is having conversations with us, who replied to email, who replied to a text message, who replied to a chat, who replied to a social media DM, who replied to one of our voicemail messages, called us, left a voicemail message, who's calling us right now. What you need to know as the internet director is who is in engagement status. DriveCentrics, for example, in their CRM, their buckets, there's a whole engagement section. Whether you're e-leads like you guys are, or your VIN solutions, or whatever CRM, you need to be able to differentiate between the two realities. You're either in follow-up or you're in engagement. So let's focus on engagement. What you need to be able to do is have situational awareness. If you've got, let's talk about it. How many internet coordinators, AKA BDC reps, do you have on your team at Nissan?
We have 5 fully trained and 1 in training.
Okay, and then how many point guards? How many salespeople working in the department with you?
We have 4, 3 live, 1 in training. Soon to be another 1 in training. So
okay,
we're going to be up to 5.
Yeah, so you have 8 people operational right now, and you're going to be going to 10 people. You're, between internet coordinators, aka BDC reps, and then salespeople that are working in a hybrid. So you don't have a BDC. We helped you build at the Dennis Dillon Auto Group a hybrid department. A hybrid is not either or, it's both. Instead of it being all showroom or all BDC reps, it's a combination strategically. And I want to share with you, even though you have 8 people and you're going to go to 10, what you need to be able to do is, as soon as you walk in the morning, you need to know who has got live conversations and what's going on. The equivalent is, this is your digital dealership, metaphorically speaking. Again, this is your digital dealership, metaphorically speaking. So if this was a traditional dealership and you had, look at the numbers, 8 to 10 people, that's a whole entire showroom floor. If I was a desk or a sales manager, or when you were a desk manager and a sales manager, floor manager, if you were in charge of managing your 8 to 10 salespeople on the floor, you want to do what? You want to pay attention to who are they engaged with? What prospects do they have in the showroom? What prospects are they working on the phones? What prospects are they working on the internet? And the bottom line is, where are we at? That's what real managers do. Is like, I'm going to stand you up. So let me role play. So if you're my BDC rep, or you're my internet coordinator, you're my salesperson, I'm like, yo, Keric, how many conversations are you working right now? How many people are in your engaged status? You better know that you can say, hey, boss, right now, so far today, fresh, I got 4 new engagements. I got 5 new engagements. Or for month to date, today is the 20th of February. So far, I am currently working at least, about 72 engaged people over the last 90 days. Okay, so I have 72 people that are in my engaged active status that are there. And then I'm going to say to you, okay, great. So out of the people today, what's the status with them? Okay, boss, here's what I've got. Boom, boom, boom. And my job as the internet director or the manager is to help you find that solution, help you find that strategy that's going to be able to get you to get that person to either commit to an appointment or want to buy the car. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
The challenge that you've got to realize is that, especially with internet, when there's a lot of leads and not enough people, sometimes it's like we're drowning. It's like the I Love Lucy episode with the chocolate factory, where like the chocolates start coming on the conveyor belt, and at first it's easy, then it starts getting faster to the point where she's trying to shove them down, hide them because they're coming out too fast. You know what I mean? So I want everybody to understand it is very, very important. You need situational control, starting with the engagements. The other thing I'm looking for is when I log into the CRM, you have e-leads, right? So give me the name of one of your internet coordinators or BDC reps.
Jasmine Rivera.
Perfect. Jasmine's awesome, by the way. So if it was me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my e-lead CRM. I want to go into Jasmine's active files, but I want to immediately segment, through the statuses, right? Through the anybody that is 31 days contacted, or anybody that's day 32 to 90 contacted. That's where I want to spend my time. Not that the not contacted aren't important, but I'm going to say this right here. They're not as important. I'm going to repeat that. Nobody's going to convince me after doing this for 25 years that following up with a fresh lead that never responded to you for 3-5 days, whatever, is more important or even as important as somebody that just got off the phone with you that's giving you buying signals that want to buy a car. As a manager, as the internet director, it is imperative that we are making sure our team understands what person will they have the highest probability of engagement and conversion. You need to be a time maximization specialist, a time maximization project manager, if you will, to your staff. A part of what you got to do in your air traffic control mentality is, how can I steer my people into doing activities that are going to yield them the highest level of success, the highest level of engagement, the highest level of conversions? You have a question or statement?
Well, yeah, actually, I really even want to build on that, because to all the old school generation out there that, used to get so furious for somebody not bringing somebody inside to do a TO with a manager, or couldn't get there fast enough, or allowed a situation to deteriorate enough. I even take it one step further, and I'm constantly going through the contacted bucket, just because I know more things to say that they haven't learned yet. I can help advance that deal to an appointment where they might have gotten stagnant in a text communication, or they're waiting on them to get on for a free time to get on the phone. And I'm going to be able to, through reading those conversations, be able to help those situations along and actually get more people to phone communications and more appointments.
Brother, exactly. And you see, because you're coming from this from a sales manager perspective, from a desk manager perspective. I mean, again, Dr. Covey from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People says, put first things first. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. Keric, if you just listen to that one thing that I'm saying right now, and you need to get some time maximization courses with my wife. I mean, you're a client, so it's free. I mean, like, it's already part of the package, but get with Karen. And if you see in the Dealer Synergy Academy classes, I don't know if you've taken her time maximization course. That is one of the most misused things. Because look, let's go through it. In a BDC or an internet department, let me give you the reality. They waste a lot of time sometimes. They are distracted by things disguised as an opportunity. That is one of your main roles as an internet director or department head, is that you are trying to, keep them focused. For example, there usually is bad communication between the internet reps, the BDC reps, and the floor, even if they're point guards, because sometimes people don't put the notes into e-lead CRM or whatever CRM.
Yes.
They don't start the in-store visit when one of their appointments shows up. So try to imagine if the BDC reps or the internet coordinators, they get paid on appointment showed, appointment sold. So if they've got to get out of their desk to go and check, hey, did they come in yet? Did they come in yet? What's going on? Whatever. Every time they get out of the desk to check what's going on, they're wasting time and money. Yep. I understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand their plight. So one thing that you've got to do as the directors, making sure that they stay planted in their seats, that they are there focused specifically on engaging prospects, not chasing notes, not chasing shows, not chasing information, not chasing sales. One thing. Second thing is on a time maximization level, I shared with you is they do things that I think that waste time. Let's just do some basic math. I talked to you about this on the on-site training, but there's a lot of information. Let's go through this. If your people are reading the notes in the CRM before they call, they're wasting time.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yo, LA, you got to agree with me on this one, right? That the phone is one of the absolute most important tools in the dealership, but it is also one of the most misused. Think about this: phone calls, text messages, etc. All of this is done through the phone. Dealers need to inspect what they expect. It's one thing to provide phone training for one of your employees or all of your employees, but just because you provide training doesn't mean that they've actually listened, learned, comprehended, and are utilizing information. So it is imperative to inspect what you expect. And one of the best ways to do that is using call reviews, phone technology. So it's call monitoring, call analytics. It is amazing to be able to track and inspect what you expect. Now think about this. If you're recording all of the phone calls, you're able to have quality assurance, you're able to have a peace of mind legally, but most importantly, you're able to evaluate your team and identify on the quantitative and qualitative measures of the phone call what needs to be improved. That way, your internal sales management team or your training team can work specifically and strategically with each one of your reps, whether they're BDC, sales, or management, to get them to that next level, to become that phone superstar. Okay, so again, if you want help with your phone skills, look at Call Review. And Call Review is going to be at the upcoming IS20G15, April 15th to 17th in Baltimore.
Let me explain to you. You said that you have 5 internet coordinators, aka BDC reps. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go through this. If they make 120 calls a day, which is the minimum quota for outbound, times 5, that means there's 600 outbound calls from your department. You follow me? If they're only, a 10% connection ratio, 10%, right? That means 90% of the people they call, they're not going to get on the phone. True or false?
True.
Okay, so that means that out of 600, they get 60 connections. That means that it also means 540 people are not going to answer the phone. So why the hell would I sit there and spend 1 minute, even just 1 simple minute, to read the notes to see if we've got availability? So if somebody submitted an internet purchase request on a 2024 Nissan Altima, let's say that Tiana Mick submitted an internet purchase request on a 2024 Nissan Altima, if the coordinators or the point guards, which are the salespeople in the department, if they are reading the information before they call, if they're going to check inventory, whether it's physically or on the line, if they're doing this, they're doing that, and then they call, guess what's going to happen? The majority of people are not going to answer the phone.
That's right.
So I'm going to just show you some scary math. Okay, so that means per day, if your department's supposed to make a minimum of 600 outbound calls a day, just those 5 people, not even the point guards, right? And I'm telling you, 540 people. So watch this: 540 people, and that, let's just say it's 1 minute. That's 540 minutes a day times 5 days is 2,700 minutes a week times 4.3 weeks in a month. That's 11,610 minutes. Divide that by 60. That's 193.5 hours that your people are wasting. Let me repeat that. If you've got a 5-person internet BDC team, right? And if they're making 120 calls a day, I'm telling you, only on average, statistically, will they have about a 10% connection ratio. They should have 60 conversations a day, but that means that 540 people are not. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that? A simple little tiny chiropractic alignment is saying to your people, listen, dial the phones first, then start reading, doing the research. Why? Because you got to dial the phones anyway. So if I'm dialing for Tiana Mick and she answers the phone, then I can start my process and my conversations. But if I dial her and she doesn't answer, I could just stop reading and go on to my next one. You don't want to do your research and then call, because the vast majority of people are not going to answer the phone. So that's just one example of how I need you to always be cognizant of what your people are doing. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. They need to know what is the most important thing to do next. Okay. Another thing that you can do that I think is a pro tip when you go into eLeads, right? If you go into eLeads under Jasmine's file, you know how it timestamps. Let's say Jasmine, for example, has 275 active leads that are 90 days or less. Let's just say she's got 275 active leads that are 90 days or less, or whatever the number is. In her active lead bucket, right? You're able to see the last time that she attempted to reach that person, or the last time that she connected with that person. True or false?
True. It's the last touch report.
Yeah, brother, that's the number one thing that I am doing as an internet director, because think about it. If it's only 90 days old and the last time she touched somebody was 80 days ago or 70 days ago or 60 days ago or hell, 50 days ago, like what the hell are we doing? So there's a lot of times that it's called reconciling. Too many times internet directors and BDC managers don't reconcile the data. So again, I'm going to repeat that. One thing I want you to do is I want you, when you're spot checking your staff, let's use Jasmine. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that she doesn't have any overdue tasks. I want to make sure she doesn't have any alerts. I want to make sure that she's following our process. Now, okay, that's check, check, check. Now I'm going to go into Jasmine's active leads that are 90 days or less old. Great. Out of these, this is use 275. Okay, I want to click the last time she touched people. I want to go to the people that she hasn't touched the longest, because chances are they dropped through the cracks. They fell through the cracks. They slipped through to the Bermuda Triangle, and your people are not working on those. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense.
Are you doing that right now?
I'm actually looking at her last touch report right now.
Okay, and so how pretty or ugly is it, if you're honest?
It's not showing me a total lead count, but I would say there's 15 or 20 that are 14 days or more, and then the rest of them are below 6.
All right, so
Then,
so follow me that I'm going to go to those 14 or 15, because again, you know the rules of engagement. If it's 31 days or less, it's supposed to be methodical follow-up for the first 31 days. So if any of those people are in 31 days, there's only two possibilities. Okay, either it needs daily contact as per the dealer synergy protocol, like we've outlined, or there's been some type of engagement. And then once there's some type of engagement, there needs to be a manual activity. I don't care what the scenario is, that if it's 31 days or less and I've been engaged, there shouldn't be 2 weeks with no communication. That's absolutely not okay in any way, shape, or form. Again, because either it's a dead lead or a future lead, but if it's an active lead, it needs consistent follow-up. Does that make sense?
that does. I'd say the bulk of the ones that have this kind of time frame are older than 90 days.
Then
I'm looking at the.
that brings us to another problem. Then you need to dead them, because that's the problem. You don't want to have people that are in there that are over 90 days. This is like a lot of times reps are hoarding leads. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. Again, it's to be active leads that are 90 days or less is what you guys are following up with at your store, which is perfect, because that means that in addition to all the fresh leads you're getting in February, it's all the other carryover leads that are going back January, December, November. I mean, honestly, if it's towards the late, middle, early end of February, why are we going back to people in October? I don't see the value in that. I really don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we're not maximizing the things that are today, yesterday, and the last 90 days. Let's focus on maximizing that. And if we maximize the 90-day follow-up, then we could go into long-term, more follow-up and things like that. Now, additionally, I want to share this with you. So we're talking about, again, as an internet director, I want to look at the engagements, but specifically, I want to look at the things that haven't been touched or updated the most, so I could identify, missed opportunities or breach in protocol. But the second thing is what I started to say in the beginning of this conversation is you want to also look at all engaged. Why? Because as a manager, I don't want to assume my people are doing their job. I don't want to assume that they're 100% TLing me. I don't want to assume that every time a customer asks for something in email, chat, voicemail, or text message, that my staff is following through with everything. You've got to assume that there's some missed opportunities in there. So you inspect what you expect. I will absolutely go through each and every one of these active leads that have engagement to make sure what's going on. So let's say that she's got 275 active leads or whatever it is. Guess what? After I look at all the oldest stuff, I'm gonna look at the freshest stuff because that's the highest closing things. The freshest leads from today, yesterday, the day before that, etc. I want to look at if there's been engagement. What was the last thing that's said? And then if and is there follow-up? What's the next step? You know what I mean? Because that's the thing that I don't think that internet directors, BDC managers, or even sales managers do enough. We don't normally hold the BDC or the sales team that's handling internet leads fully accountable for every engaged conversation. So I just want to stress engagement, 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 engagement. That is the holy grail. We want to make sure that we know how many fresh engagements today and how many total, working engagements do we have? And then most importantly, where are we at with all these people? And you need to have a plan of what we're doing to try to get these people in. What are your thoughts and comments?
No, I absolutely. When we first signed up with you, there was several months of just absorbing the information. And then we went live a few months ago with you. You came out, did an excellent presentation. And, we're finding out that there's some things that we need to continue to work on to get up to speed with some of the processes, like clearing out all the stuff that's over 90 days. I know the team's done a great job of putting anything they come across into manager review. And then at that point, I'll if I see that the timeline is over 90 days, I'll kill the lead. But they've jumped up from an averaging 37, 38 calls a month per IC last month to averaging 126 this month. The only exception would be is I did have a transfer from one store to another, Emily, and of course when she transferred over here, her leads didn't transfer, so she started out brand new, but she's definitely ramping up nicely as far as call volume and getting some leads. So we hope to have her, have enough leads to justify that kind of call volume by the end of the month.
So would you say that now that you're kind of in rhythm with the dealer synergy process, that your people are making more phone calls, there's more engagement, there's more appointments, there's more shows, and there's more sales?
Absolutely.
Can you give a range? How many net sales have you increased since you guys are in the rhythm now, honestly?
Okay, so last month we had 27 sales out of the department. The month prior we had 30 sales out of the department. This month on the 20th, we've got 36 sales and 3 deposits that'll clear this month. So I expect us to, I'm hoping for high 50s, but we're definitely, have reached new heights.
Yeah, so you might double or come close to doubling what your sales were before. And what would you say has been the single most significant evolution on why you are so successful now, and why you're getting so many more appointments, shows, and sales? What is it specifically that's working for you guys?
Honestly, the two things that you mentioned, for the not just me to understand the philosophy, but for the team to understand the philosophy that calls equals connections equals appointments equals shown appointments equals sales. Period. It's not magic. It's just math, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite saying. I know that you got that from somewhere. It's not magic. It's math. Okay, good. All right. So now let's go to the second aspect. Okay.
The second part is, having the TO process or the inspecting what you expect process, because I've been in this industry for a while and I do know more advanced things to say. I do know more advanced, communication that can lead somebody back on the route that we want them to go that they may not have learned yet. If I get somebody, like I just had a guy yesterday that absolutely refused to talk anything more until he had a firm number on his trade. Well, I ended up getting in communication with him, and just by, hey, when's the last time you bought a car sight unseen? Obviously you want to take a look at it. Well, it's the same thing for our used car manager. What I can tell you is it's only going to be a 10, 15-minute process. It's not going to take all day. So when can you stop by for us to get it evaluated into our system? And sure enough, he stopped in. And now we're in the process of, potentially upgrading him to a new truck. I'm hoping it goes down today, but, it's just having a wider range of experiences to be able to talk to some of these customers and have them understand that they need to follow our process. We're not gonna, they're not dictating the process to us.
That's another pro tip right there. Again, I want to just isolate this, is that you, again, are a floor manager, desk manager by experience, in this industry. More than most people the significance and importance of 100% TO protocol.
Absolutely.
Anytime a prospect touches the showroom before they leave, there needs to be a management turnover. So a manager has the opportunity to greet the customer, requalify them, and try to be able to provide some type of value and convert that person. And my thing is, I'm going to go back to what we both agreed. Sometimes it takes days, weeks, or months get connected with somebody. Why in the world, if it takes days, weeks, or months to make the initial connection, would we allow a BDC rep or a salesperson to have a conversation and hang up the phone without a manager TO? I believe the internet department BDC not only needs to have 100% TO any single time an agent, whether it's sales or BDC, is communicating with the prospect. I don't care what the reason it is. If it's not a confirmation for an appointment, or if it's not a confirmation to buy a car, 100% TO. If we just did that, if we went to, and not reactive TOs where, hey, I'll call them back when I can. I'm talking about, you need to create
real time.
Yeah. So Keric, talk to them. How important is it to create a real-time TO situation?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, LA, do you know that dealers are still suffering from inventory, from lack of inventory? I mean, again, the manufacturers are still not where they used to be with their new car inventory, which is putting a heavy strain on used car inventory. And so I'm telling you, dealers need to look at VinQ. VinQ by far is the absolute best software and technology provider when it comes to acquisition, trade-in, used car inventory, used car pricing. We call it the V-Auto killer. So folks, if you are looking to have the absolute best inventory software specifically for acquisition purposes, for pricing purposes, for so much more, just check out VinQ. As a matter of fact, VinQ is going to be a featured speaker and their sponsor for the upcoming Internet Sales 20 Group 15 in beautiful Baltimore, April 15th to the 17th.
So honestly, I think that if I were to pick a third thing that's the strongest contributor, is creating an environment where the internet coordinators have trust that there's somebody there to TO to, whether it be an internet manager or a point guard who's really bought into the system, but having that so now they don't feel like, oh, I got to put this person on hold and go try to find somebody that's not busy, or that, to me, I look at that as one of the most important parts of my job. Is even though I'm diving in and I'm looking ways to influence, as soon as somebody needs a TO, I'm there.
I love it. Okay, now, so TOs are extremely powerful. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is we've been speaking about engagement. That's everything that we've talked about up till now has been engagement. And that's great. But the next part of this is going to be speaking about the follow-up. Okay, so let's recap this. This is the strategy that I want internet directors, BDC directors, or sales managers. So if I said that the department's roles are broken into two main realities. Reality one is engagement. Anytime, if you take a phone up, engagement. Anytime somebody replies to a email, text message, chat, anytime somebody calls you back from a voicemail message you left, anytime you call someone and they answer, engagement. What we've been talking about for this whole time is it is imperative that the internet director or BDC director is managing and keeping track of all of the engagements with the agents.
Absolutely.
You want to make sure that they know everybody that they got engagement today and month to date. The carryovers and what they're doing with them. That's what we talked about. But now let's flip to the other side of things. Besides engagement, it's the follow-up. Now, this is the reality. The hardest part of the department is just getting a hold of somebody. Even though we call this an internet sales department, even though we call it a business development department, I don't think either one of those names are accurate. This is a follow-up department. That is the majority of what you do. The majority of what an internet BDC does is not talking to people, it's not closing appointments, and it's not selling cars. The vast majority of what a real internet department or real BDC does is follow-up. It's outbound phone calls, outbound text messages, outbound emails, outbound video emails, outbound video text messages, outbound Apple FaceTimes, outbound social media DMs, outbound e-cards, outbound animated GIFs, outbound memes. I'm dead serious. And then it's follow-up, 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 follow-up. So as a internet director or BDC director, one of your jobs is just doing this: row,
Yep.
row, row, row. And as you guys think I'm laughing, I'm bullshitting, you think about something. In college crew, which is the rowing thing, right? In crew, it's called crew. There's literally a person with a megaphone, row. Are you really? It's a race. Why are you going to have an extra body on there that's going to weigh that boat down just to say row? Because you're getting your team in rhythm. You're getting your team in cadence. Okay, if you were in the military, when I was in the United States Army and I did my FTXs and we did our PT, our physical training, our drill sergeant would do what? He would call cadence. I don't know what I've been told. So again, it's cadence. You're calling cadence. What you're doing is you're setting the proper expectations for the frequency of follow-up. You're making sure that your department is on cue, that you are rowing like the Vikings in one direction, not here, there, everywhere, here like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people don't realize that you need to get the department in rhythm. Part of being a manager in a BDC, a call center, internet department is motivating your people, keeping them motivated, keeping them on track. Because if you're not calling row, again, then they start to check their phones. They start to check social media. They got to go potty. They got to go do this. And then we're screwed. You need to keep the energy and momentum of the department. And so the way we do that is two things, right? Besides verbal and personal management, it's making sure that the CRM is set up correctly with the right action plans and the right statuses. If the CRM, in your case, it's eLeads. If eLeads is set up correctly, it's going to fire tasks and activities to the BDC rep, internet coordinator, and salesperson and manager. And it's simultaneously going to send content, email templates, text message templates, video templates, social media templates, whatever, to the prospect or to the client. So again, the two different and major jobs of an internet director is making sure that the engagement is being engaged properly, and we're finding solutions to sell cars and put people, in vehicles that they want and need. The other thing is, if they're not working on engagement, they need to be mining and building their pipeline and following up. So those are two of the main things. Next, I'm going to give you a couple other things that are important. Okay. It's creating a culture of interdependence. You know what I mean? Like this is not normal in the regular showroom. We say we're a sales team. That's bullshit. It's usually every man or every woman himself. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm not saying people are kicking people in the throat and skating them, but it's damn sure like a solo sport. It's more like boxing or wrestling than it is a team sport. You know what I mean? And I know wrestling could be a team sport, but I'm just talking about in that one match. Whereas in the internet or BDC, especially in the model we created for you, you have the coordinators, you've got the point guards, you got the overflow, you got the other managers, you got yourself. You've got to figure out a way for everybody to play nice in the sandbox. You need to make sure that the point guards and the salespeople are mentoring your coordinators.
You need to update it.
Reps. You need to also make sure that, on the flip side, that there's bidirectional communication and respect. I'm telling you, it is so important. If you develop a team of culture of positivity, interdependence, synergy, you're going to be way more successful. But if every man or woman for themselves, and it's like the showrooms battling the internet like Bloods versus Crips, you're never going to be successful. And from my understanding, that's also one of the reasons why your department is so successful, because you guys are working cohesively together. Can you talk about that for a second? How are you guys working together, and how is the culture in your department?
So yeah, that's definitely a transition. And we have multiple locations, so it's been different, I guess, phases of the transition depending on what store. Um, Here, one of the things I think I brought into this is I came from a hybrid style background. When I was selling cars, I did it by appointment only. I set appointments for myself, met the customers, and then sold the vehicle. So, when I saw what the point guard descriptions were, I was very familiar with it. And so I think at least at my store, I've been able to talk about the benefits and the strategy and the ways that this kind of selling could really benefit. That you have a lot more control. The reality is, I mean, stats say an appointment is going to have a much higher conversion rate than a up on the lot.
100%.
So, and then as you get better and better and better at it, you're not only are you building value in the dealership, and price is only relevance in the absence of value. So, the more value that you can build before they even come in is the better you're going to be going through the motions of the sale. So, they're definitely starting to see the results of this. We've got record high numbers for our individual car counts for both our BDC and our sales team. Out of all of our dealership group, we have 5 of our salesmen that are in the top 10 for sales. So that's a pretty high achievement, because normally Nissan's not there. We got 2 truck stores in our auto group. So normally the truck stores usually, take the icing on the cake, but that's not the case this month. So
Listen, if you listen to me, I guarantee you're going to be another one of our Dealer Synergy national success stories on the cover of one of these magazines, being nationally recognized. Because, I mean, like, think about this. You were able to almost double your internet output, and it's just the beginning of your trajectory and your success. I love this. I'm super proud of you, Keric. And I
thank
also
you.
want to say to everybody that's listening, I think part of this is that, you have unique experience. And I'm not saying that you can't be a successful internet director, BDC director, if you never sold cars or if you never desk a deal. But I'm going to say this right now. I think you have an unfair competitive advantage. I think that you will be a better internet director, BDC director, if you've taken ups before, if you sold ups before, if you've managed a sales team before, if you've managed, a sales department before, if you've desk deals. I mean, like, if you've done all of those things, I think that this will enhance your internet director, BDC manager, attributes. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So you had mentioned earlier on that one of the problems that you've seen, or one of the dangers that you've seen, is too many leads into a department. Well, I think that's where you set us up for success. I know that you've been involved with upper management, auditing the leads and helping us there, but we came into going live with a very low lead count. So we really had to drill down on the skills of follow up. And I think that's just going to ultimately prepare us to launch when replacement, more value leads come into our department as we staff fully up. And I think that's the right way to go. I mean, it's all about the process. If you can't define the process, then you don't have one.
Well, Keric, I'm going to say this before we wrap up here. I'm really excited. I hope that you're coming. I talked to Jay, and Jay's bringing like 10 to 12 people from the whole group. There's 6 stores and stuff. We have our Dealer Synergy's 20-year anniversary in April.
I want to. I begged him to.
Yeah, you need to tell him that, I said, I would really love for you to be there, because we're going to have Rob Ruth, who's the dealer principal of Bob Ruth Ford. That's that dealership we took from 75 cars a month on the internet to 320 units a month on the internet. He's going to be there. Cody Carter, who sold 1,400 units and 1,408 units last year on the showroom floor, made $1.2 million selling cars. There. Damian Mills, the dealer principal of the 30 rooftop, Mills Automotive Group that just bought the majority share of the Charlotte Hornets from Michael Jordan. He's going to be there. I would love for you to be there so I could introduce you to all these powerhouses, and so you could soak up all that energy, that networking, and all the knowledge. Plus, we have 20 plus amazing top subject matter experts on everything from internet, BDC, showroom, technology, AI, and everything in between. So I hope you're able to make it to Baltimore in April, the 15th to the 17th at the upcoming IS20G conference. Okay, brother?
Well, I'm definitely going to relay my desire to go again, but if you happen to be talking to them, let them know I definitely want to come.
I got you. I'm going to, actually, do my absolute best to get you there. So keep staying on here. I'm going to cut the feed to the podcast. Everybody, again, this is Internet Director Masterclass going on right now. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast, and remember,